COVID-19. We'll look at how Wuhan is coping with life on lockdown. South Sudan's rival leaders form coalition government. The unity government calls for reconciliation and forgiveness. And more than 35,000 giraffes face extinction due to poaching in Tanzania. Hello and welcome. You're watching Africa Live. We're coming to you live from Nairobi. I'm Hannah Viviers. I'll be with you for the next hour. Here are more stories coming up. In business, Tunisian startup offers commuters alternative to hard-to-find taxis. And in sport, Rwanda looks to reclaim yellow jersey from Eritrea. We start with the latest on the coronavirus outbreak. China has reported over 650 new cases from Saturday. More than 23,000 patients have recovered so far. Most of the new figures were reported by Hubei province, where the outbreak began in the provincial capital, Wuhan. Outside Hubei, Guangdong, Zhejiang, and Henan provinces are the next worst affected areas. Each has reported more than 1,200 cases. New cases, however, are on the decline. To date, the virus has spread to 28 other countries, which altogether have reported over 1,700 cases and 18 deaths. South Korea and Japan are the worst hit. In Japan, more than 600 people have been confirmed as infected aboard a cruise ship, which was quarantined at the Yokohama port. All passengers have disembarked. South Korea has reported 5 deaths so far, with 602 confirmed cases. The surge in infections is mostly traced to a hospital and a religious sect in the country's southeast. In the Middle East, Iran has closed schools, universities, cultural centers, and suspended all sporting events following the death of 6 people. In China's Hubei province, a special press briefing has been held for medical workers and volunteers to share their experiences on the front lines in Wuhan, the epicenter of the COVID-19 outbreak.
A lot of patients, and none of the patients is accompanied by their relatives. A lot of the senior patients, they cannot even take care of themselves. Each time we leave the ward, we were sweating all over, but immediately we would change our clothing and then get back to the fight. Confronting this outbreak, we were under a lot of pressure. We were not going back to homes, and a lot of the nurses and doctors will live in a hospital, and some doctors and nurses, they live in the nearby hotel so that we can immediately get back to the hospital when there is a need, so that we can also protect our family, because there is a lot of concerns from our family members. The first breakfast that I delivered was to a hospital, and then I saw everything in the hospital was in good order, and it was from that moment that I received a lot of orders online. I came across many different types of people, and I was touched by their stories. I shared these warm stories on my Weibo account, and I have received a lot of encouragement and support. And I then gradually realized that we as deliverymen, we could do something more, because we have become the ferryman that stabilizes the order of the city. I believe that as long as we are all here, we won't feel lonely.
Since the lockdown was imposed in Wuhan, a city of 11 million residents, tending to all aspects of public health has become a major challenge. CGTN's Zhao Yunfei checks out how the city has been coping.
The epicenter of the epidemic, Wuhan, a city under lockdown, but still at work. Hundreds of machines working at 2 construction sites at a time to build new hospitals for COVID-19 patients.
The new hospital is being built and designed at the same time. Many workers say it will be a new miracle.
In just about 2 weeks, both hospitals were put into use. Medical staff have worked around the clock to save lives, even on Lunar New Year's Eve, part of the professionalism of doctors and nurses, along with giving patients hope. And many of these medical workers have given up precious family time with loved ones.
I think we have worked very hard, but I owe a lot to my child.
Several rounds of reinforcements around the country have arrived.
Military freight planes from People's Liberation Army have arrived here at Wuhan Tianhe International Airport. They are carrying some medical team and medical supplies to support the city.
In the face of the epidemic, the People's Liberation Army pledges to protect everyone's safety and health.
Meanwhile, medical centers outside the province sent teams to relieve workforce pressure at local hospitals.
You doctors and nurses from Shanghai took good care of me. I'm very grateful and overcome with emotion, to the point of tears.
Protective gear is desperately needed. Donations from around the world are shipped to Wuhan. Despite Wuhan grounding all commercial flights for the time being, cargo paths are widely open.
It's a one-stop operation. Soon after the cargo plane lands, medical supplies will clear customs here and got delivered to hospitals.
Volunteers have participated in supply delivery, making contributions with grassroots efforts. Some have worked non-stop since the epidemic began.
If I do not support my city, I will feel guilty. I hope that I can help relieve public anxiety. I have to work as much as I can.
The sudden suspension of the city's mass transit brought inconvenience to a lot of people, but reducing the human-to-human spread of coronavirus was paramount.
I was here a month ago. Back then, Hankou railway station was very crowded during the Spring Festival travel rush. But now, the station is empty. It's just hard to imagine how many sacrifices Wuhan's local residents have made. The masks people wear don't hide their warm hearts as people keep helping others and staying strong. Zhao Yunfei, CGTN, Wuhan, Hubei Province.
Meanwhile, African Union health ministers have met in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, to discuss a coordinated response to COVID-19 outbreak. At the meeting, the head of the World Health Organization urged Africa to continue to strengthen its health institutions. Here's CGTN's Giram Chala reporting from Addis.
The COVID-19 virus issue is the main reason why these African health ministers came together here in Addis Ababa. And their goal is to devise a coordinated approach in responding to any corona outbreak.
This meeting is timely and crucial in the fight against the coronavirus disease. This meeting, which brings on board the African Union Ministers of Health, partners, and major stakeholders in the field of public health, is set to tackle energetically this outbreak in Africa.
The African Union Commission has been engaging member states to learn and assess their preparedness for the outbreak. But the possibility of COVID-19 virus outbreak is still a worry. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom, in his recorded message, said Africa must strengthen its health institutions. WHO believes there is still a challenge.
This outbreak once again highlights the need for investment in preparedness in line with the international health regulations, ladies and gentlemen. However, I'd like to emphasize that a key challenge remains mobilizing both domestic and international resources to fund the implementation of these plans and to cover these gaps.
The ministers of health have discussed and agreed on a continental strategy to better prepare and respond to any new case of the virus on the continent, discussed and agreed on a common approach as well. Chairperson Moussa Faki Mohammed said Africa stands with China during this difficult time.
In the face of this terrible trial which is affecting China, I am happy to state that our support, individual as well as collective support, has never been found wanting with that country. The 36th Ordinary Session of the Executive Council of the African Union supported the efforts of the People's Republic of China through a vote of support. And I personally, in my opening statement at the summit, I expressed my feelings of solidarity with the Chinese people. Furthermore, at this 910th meeting, the African Union Peace and Security Council stressed its commitment and preparedness to work with the Chinese government in order to fight against this epidemic.
Above and beyond sharing knowledge and information about experimental drugs, vaccines and clinical trials currently being undertaken for the control of the coronavirus disease is a critical agenda for Africa. China and Africa are hoped to fight and win the COVID-19 outbreak together. Glumjara CGTN, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
A WHO certified lab in South Africa has tested 71 samples of COVID-19. All results have come back negative for the virus. However, health authorities say it is important to remain vigilant. CGTN's Angela Coppola visited the hospital in Gauteng.
The hospital has a dedicated infectious diseases capability, and it's tested its mettle against the SARS and MERS viruses and Ebola.
And over the years, we've had lots of experience with past outbreaks of other types of illnesses. So yes, the hospital has been prepared. It was just a matter of putting things into place for this particular outbreak.
A significant part of that preparation is focused on testing the hospital systems, from collection of patients at airports around the city to testing and containment.
We are ready. We do normal drills regularly to ensure that we train the new staff that come in, but to remind the old ones who have been here. We also have very vigilant clinicians and nurses who look at the latest technology in terms of the protective clothing or how you do things.
But there are challenges, especially in a tight budgetary environment.
We're worried if we can have overwhelming majority of the patients coming here because of infrastructure. Remember, we are working with the limited resources. Our resources not say we can have such a big number of patients like the one that are managed in China. Infrastructure is one of the issues that we are looking at.
You know, no one in the world can ever say that you're fully prepared, you know. But at this current point in time, based on the magnitude of the disease in China and the rest of the world, we are prepared. Obviously, if things do change, we do have other plans and other processes in place which will be implemented.
The Charlotte Macleay Hospital is ready to deal with any eventuality, but the bottom line is they only have 26 beds to deal with that influx if it does happen. They'll then have to refer those confirmed cases to other referring hospitals, and that's where the possible danger is. I'm Angelo Coppola for CGTN in Johannesburg, South Africa.
In Nigeria, the government says it has scaled up health checks and surveillance at various ports of entry across the country as part of preparations for emergency response to the COVID-19 epidemic. A government task force made up of key ministers has been set up to ensure necessary measures are put in place. Here's CGTN's Kelechi Emekalam with the details.
Passengers at the international airport in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, undergoing intense thermal screening. That's part of precautionary measures to mitigate the entry and spread of COVID-19 virus into the country. The government recently set up an interministerial committee consisting the Ministries of Health, Information, Aviation and Humanitarian Management, and they're positive that there's no cause for alarm.
Inform Nigerians, one, about our readiness to combat this virus, to assure them there's no need to panic at all. We've handled, the more serious epidemics before.
The committee says there's been active collaboration among key players, safety sanitary measures are being scaled up here, and authorities have also instituted a line of care for any suspected and quarantined case.
The responsibility of giving protection to vulnerable citizens, as I mentioned. If people are affected, we have to come in to see how we can support them after the health workers must have done their own bit.
Early case recognition, isolation of suspect passengers, safe transport to designated hospitals, and contact tracing around these individuals.
Nigeria has strong ties with China. Trade exchange between both countries run into billions of dollars. Although no case of COVID-19 has been recorded here, but there's been heightened tension over the likely importation of the virus, especially as the African continent has already recorded one case in Egypt. Kelechi Emekalam, CGTN Abuja, Nigeria.
It's time now for us to take a short break. In return, South Sudan's rival leaders form coalition government. The unity government calls for reconciliation and forgiveness. Vote counting underway in Togo as Faure Gnassingbe seeks to extend dynasty's rule.
Each day, there are millions of stories. Each one can open new perspectives, new possibilities. Wherever you look, we are there. To see, discover, explore. We put the pieces together to find what really matters to you. All around the world, all around the clock. Our reporters are at home across the globe. From our headquarters in Beijing and production centers in Washington, Nairobi, and London, China Global Television Network. Stories from across the globe, reaching people across the globe. CGTN. See the difference.
Welcome back. You're watching News Making Headlines right here on Africa Live. Well, South Sudan's new government is calling for reconciliation and forgiveness after a 6-year civil war divided that country. On Saturday, opposition leader Riek Machar was sworn in as first vice president. Here's CGTN's Patrick Oyet with that report.
The coming together of the former warring parties in the new unity government is expected to end the 6 years of civil war in the country. President Salva Kiir is urging the communities divided by war to embrace forgiveness and reconciliation.
And as we repair the damaged infrastructure, we will need your support to mend the social fabric that has been torn by war, and to push forward to reconcile our people.
A similar peace arrangement failed in 2016 when forces loyal to President Kiir clashed with Riek Machar's troops in Juba. However, opposition leader and now first Vice President Riek Machar says he is confident the current peace deal will hold.
It is our hope that the formation of the Artigono will create a new momentum and a new spirit of commitment and cooperation in the implementation process of the agreement in order to avoid the kinds of delays experienced during the pre-transitional period.
African Union is calling on members of the international community to support South Sudan's peace process.
A lot of remaining pre-transitional tasks which need to be completed. The issues of security arrangement, for example, require a lot of financial and material, but also political will.
The new government is planned to have 5 vice presidents, 35 ministers, 10 deputy ministers, and 550 members of parliament. Hope is rising again here. Many say they believe the formation of the new government will bring lasting peace in the country. Patrick Oyet, CGTN, Juba, South Sudan.
Meanwhile, in Togo, vote counting is underway after polls closed on Saturday. Results are expected early next week, according to electoral officials. Incumbent President Faure Gnassingbe is running against 6 other candidates. He's ruled the African country for 15 years and is confident of re-election.
Observers from the Economic Community of West African States and the African Union say Saturday's vote in Togo was peaceful. President Faure Gnassingbe is seeking re-election. He took office in 2005 following the death of his father, Gnassingbe Eyadema. Last year, he pushed through constitutional changes, allowing him to run again and potentially remain in office until 2030.
I believe that there were some minor incidences across the country, but overall, things are going well. I have been backed by my supporters and others who were kind enough to attend our rallies to listen to us. I saw their response to the proposals that I made, so I am rather confident.
While there are other 6 contenders, his main challenger is a former Prime Minister Agbiome Kojo. He appears to have gained ground and enjoys the backing of an influential former Catholic Archbishop.
I think that if the Independent National Electoral Commission rectifies the irregularities we denounce, there is no reason why we should not pass the first round. I am convinced that in the coming weeks, I will be running this country.
Some voters have also expressed hope for change. A runoff will take place if none of the candidates achieves a majority. The 6 opposition candidates have suggested that they will unite against the president if the vote goes to a second round.
Togo has a population of over 7 million people. The capital Lomé acts as home to citizens from across the city. CGTN's Asta Tall caught up with Bol Banje, a former teacher, for insight into life in the capital.
J'ai commencé à enseigner le 3 octobre 1999. Pourquoi j'ai aimé enseigner? Oui, l'enseignement, bon, depuis mon enfance, même quand j'étais en 3e, je répétais les tout petits du cours primaire. Ça me fait plaisir d'enseigner. J'avais pris un de mes neveux pour aller à l'hôpital à Fagnan. C'est en cours de route que j'ai fait l'accident. Je suis devenu, j'ai fait ABC et j'ai resté longtemps à l'hôpital. Après scanner, ce qu'on a vu, on a dit que je dois aller à Côte d'Ivoire ou bien au Ghana. Celle-là, il me faut 400 000 pour pouvoir aller. Et celle-là, ma famille et ma femme ont décidé à ce qu'on me ramène à la maison. Et on m'a cherché un masseur qui m'a massé et qui me massait 5 fois dans la semaine, 3 000 francs par séance. Et après, j'ai réduit ça à 3 fois par semaine, 2 fois par semaine et 1 fois. C'est ça qui m'a aidé à ce que je me déplace aussi. Quand je suis arrivé, bon, déjà on m'a attendu 6 mois. Après 6 mois, on m'a donné encore 3 mois. Comme ça ne s'établit pas, bon, on m'a demandé d'avoir de retraite anticipée. Avant de faire l'accident, je gagnais 66 000. Et maintenant, bon, comme je suis en retraite, bon, dans les 3 mois que je gagnais 60 000, après, quand je me suis un peu établi, j'ai fait des demandes dans des écoles privées ici. Si j'ai trouvé chez quelqu'un, je peux travailler. Même si il peut être moins de diplôme plus que moi, je vais travailler avec lui. C'est que je n'ai pas trouvé à faire. J'ai dit, bon, comme je ne veux pas rester à la maison comme ça et manger, bon, qu'est-ce que je vais faire? Il fallait que je commande du charbon, j'attache un peu. Alors j'ai quelques bénéfices avec ça. On peut payer les frais de scolarité de mes enfants, les donner aussi le petit déjeuner pour aller à l'école. Avec mes enfants, c'est pourquoi je battais. Mes enfants me sont chers. Oui, c'était un bon quartier que je ne regrette pas quand même d'être là parce que quand je suis un peu fatigué à la maison, comme je n'allais nulle part, et quand je suis un peu fatigué, je me déplace pour aller chez quelqu'un, chez un ami ou bien chez un cohabitant. Eux aussi me visitaient. C'est ça qui me plaît. Merci beaucoup. C'est pourquoi on doit avoir des frères, des amis. D'accord.
Tunisia's parliament is due to vote on a new proposed cabinet. The prime minister-designate unveiled his new cabinet team composed of 30 ministers and 2 secretaries of state earlier this week. According to the prime minister-designate, the new cabinet is subject to consensus between parties and parliamentary blocs involved in the consultations.
Elias El-Farfer stressed that his cabinet members were chosen based on the criteria of competence, integrity and credibility.
Thanks to the effort of all concerned parties, I was able to present a government formation that I hope will get the confidence of the House of the People's Representatives.
The Prime Minister-designate added that the new government represents a broad political spectrum and is based on a contract document that aims to ensure the country's stability and restore confidence and hope to citizens.
The negotiations were long, difficult and complicated, but this is a manifestation of democracy during which everyone showed a high level of responsibility. The process ended by giving priority to national over party interests.
The constitutional deadline for announcing the government lineup ended on Wednesday. The new government now has the support of the presidency.
You've successfully fulfilled your mission and respected the Constitution. This is a historic moment that all Tunisians have been expecting. I hope you'll succeed in getting the absolute majority in parliament so that we can achieve the goals of Tunisians in employment, freedom, and national dignity.
The Prime Minister-designate has excluded the second parliamentary bloc from his cabinet formation. Analysts say he will face strong opposition during the confidence vote at Parliament. Elias El-Farfar is expected to take over from Youssef El-Shahed, who was appointed in August 2016. The new government will face unprecedented economic, social and security challenges. Adnan Shawishi, CGTN, Tunis.
To South Africa now, where the government recently lifted a ban on livestock auctions after 2 outbreaks of foot and mouth disease in 2019. The outbreak led to its neighbors banning the import of South African meat. Local producers, auctioneers, feedlots and other stakeholders across the value chain have welcomed the latest news. CGTN's Angela Coppola has more.
It's been more than a year that the export ban has been in place, with neighbouring countries' buyers not too keen on importing South African livestock. The actual economic impact of the 2 outbreaks hasn't been calculated yet.
Generally, the farmers have been struggling to sell their livestock. A few were able to sell their livestock through on-farm sales and direct sales to either feedlots, etc. But it had a huge impact on their activities.
The value chain operators will now begin rebuilding their commercial businesses in the hope that neighbouring country buyers will start sourcing South African livestock.
The most important thing is to get the biosecurity situation right. It is imperative that we do that. We had 2 outbreaks in 1 year, but the speed at which the authorities and the industry stakeholders have actually responded to actually deal with the situation is quite commendable.
The Minister of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, Toko Didiza, announced the lifting of the ban and also spoke about measures to minimize risk of another outbreak.
There are positive moves from the industry and the authorities in terms of the establishment of the livestock tracking system that will ensure that we can have quick response times, we can know exactly where the livestock is and so on.
The latest ban has had an impact on South African food inflation data, but it's been minimal.
And December is low activity period in terms of sales of livestock, but in terms of going forward, we expect a slight uptick in the meat inflation, but at a lower level.
Biosecurity is a key ingredient in the success and the reinstatement of trade between South Africa and its neighbours when it comes to livestock. If that's not in place, the neighbours are simply going to close down their borders again. I'm Angelo Coppola for CGTN in Johannesburg, South Africa.
One of the effects of climate change is water scarcity. CGTN's Yasser Hakim looks at the impact of climate change on water availability in Egypt.
Over 90% of Egypt's water resources comes from the River Nile. It is used for drinking, agriculture and daily consumption. However, global warming, one of the effects of climate change, could reduce rainfall on the River Nile.
The problem with Egypt that it is in an area that has very little rain. And through the global warming, this phenomenon, this problem has been accentuated. The rainfall is also diminishing in Africa. But Ethiopia gets a very high share of this water, of this rain.
The Renaissance Dam built by Ethiopia on the Nile threatens to cut Egypt's water share. Egypt is already suffering from water poverty, and the dam can be even more harmful. The government is encouraging people to conserve their water use to sustain any expected losses.
Let's talk about the agricultural sector, because this is the sector that consumes 85% of the water in Egypt that comes through the Nile. We have been used to a kind of irrigation system that is not valid anymore these days. We used to just let the water inundate the whole area and leave it there for some time. This was too much water for the purpose of agriculture. Now we should use the dropping system, where the plant will get the necessary water quantity only, not more.
The government is also working on alternative sources of water. It has embarked on huge desalination projects from the Mediterranean Sea. These alternative sources, however, are costly and can only cover about 10% of Egypt's needs. Cairo is extensively negotiating with Ethiopia to ensure that the Renaissance Dam doesn't affect its water share. At the same time, there's an extensive awareness campaign for Egyptians not to abuse their water consumption. Yas Hakim for CGTN, Cairo.
Your business news is coming up after the break. Here's what you can expect. Tunisian startup offers commuters alternative to hard-to-find taxis. And South African inventor uses simple tools to make reading lamps. Time now for your business news. We begin in Tunisia, where a startup is offering commuters an alternative to hard-to-find taxis. Indigo uses semi-covered scooters to get passengers to their destinations. The company is currently planning to expand its business after raising over $300,000 in funding from angel investors. From Tunis, here's CGTN's Adnan Shiwashi with more.
Reem is a 42-year-old captain who's become used to driving in heavy traffic. She joined the Indigo startup adventure 1 month ago to earn a decent living and to serve hundreds of people, many of whom have become faithful clients.
Many drivers honk their car horn and greet me while on my scooter. It's unusual in our society to see a woman on two wheels, but Tunisians are getting used to it and happy to get this fast, safe and affordable ride.
Reem and other Indigo captains are always watching the mobile application. It's their main partner on the road. The drivers are not Indigo's employees. They rent the scooters from the company and also pay 20% commission on every ride.
This is an efficient means of transport, especially during a traffic jam. It's better than a taxi, because I can go to any destination at any time.
Bassem Bouguera is one of the most promising entrepreneurs in Tunisia. The IT engineer is the CEO of Indigo, the startup he co-founded with the company's operations executive Nabil Jridet. The partners plan to expand the business after raising over $300,000 in funding from angel investors.
People who would like to order food at a reasonable price, they have a hard time finding solutions for that. So we've decided to launch Inti Food, which is the food delivery vertical in our startup, and with the same philosophy is actually making sure that we satisfy the demand of a large part of the society that cannot afford buying expensive food.
The cost of the food delivery service will not exceed $3. Indigo has faced many administrative challenges, but the company has relied on wit and technology to overcome everyday difficulties. According to official data, Indigo has been able to provide over 11,000 rides in January alone with its limited network of 50 scooters. The startup has had over 30,000 app installs in just 3 weeks after launching the service, which has also created jobs for Tunisian youths. Adnan Shawishi, CGTN, Tunis.
In South Africa, a young man from Kailicha has come up with a bright idea to help learners study and do their homework at night. He uses 2-liter plastic bottles, electric wires, and offcuts from fabric to make the lamps. CGTN's Yelisa Jamela brings us that story.
When Siphamandla Ncheula was studying for matric, his family used to chastise him, telling him that the bright ceiling lights are disturbing them. While they fully supported Siphamandla's determination to study, they basically couldn't sleep.
Siphamandla decided to make these lamps because the layout of his home is such that whenever he put the lights on, everybody had to contend with the bright lights. And he thought that's not fair and made a plan.
Or suffer from not studying adequately.
It was difficult for me to study while knowing that the light is affecting others. It made me even think, how much more difficult is it for people living in one-bedroom homes, especially in the informal? You know when parents say, switch off the lights, we want to sleep now?
He says he knows what a struggle it can be to study in a house you share with a big family.
I struggle to study at home at night, but I thought if I can make a plan, other pupils won't suffer like me. At least they will have a choice. So when it's time to switch the lights off, they can take the lamp, their books, and sit in the corner with enough light, but not disturbing others.
He makes the lamps from 2-liter plastic bottles, light bulb electric wires, and offcuts of fabrics.
There are a lot of 2-liter bottles around in the township. We drink a lot of fizzy drinks, even here at home. Even if I can go to the dustbin now, I will find 2-liter bottles.
He also tells us that when he started making the lamps, they got stolen, and that discouraged him from continuing, and he stopped. And last year, he started again, and now wants his lamps to be battery operated.
I'm now planning to change the way the lamps operate. I want to use batteries instead of electricity. I think by June, I would have managed to do that. I've already done a lot of research about this. I feel so proud to see a young man from our area using his hands to find a solution to a challenge that he has. I'm really so proud.
Siphamandla, who is unemployed and living with his aunt and uncle, dreams of starting his own small business selling his lamps. Yulisa Njamela for CGTN in Khayelitsha, Cape Town, South Africa.
Time for us to take a short break, but still to come. More than 35,000 giraffes face extinction due to poaching in Tanzania. Welcome back. Well, over the last 30 years, the population of giraffes has fallen by more than half, with a conservationist warning of a silent extinction. It's estimated that there are about 35,000 Maasai giraffes throughout Kenya and Tanzania, which are being endangered primarily because of poaching and changes to habitat. CGTN's Daniel Kijo brings us that story.
The tallest animal on the planet is slowly disappearing. Giraffe used to roam in 28 African countries, but now they're extinct in at least 7. The International Union for Conservation of Nature has listed giraffes as vulnerable on its red list. Conservationist Malcolm Ryan says, among other things, humans are to blame.
One of the biggest threats is, of course, human encroachment. As everywhere, as population grows, as agricultures take over from wilderness, their habitat is getting destroyed.
The illegal bushmeat trade, disease, and human-wildlife conflict are also major threats. A plan to conserve giraffe is being drafted at the United Nations Convention on Conservation of Migratory Species. But Tanzanians say more needs to be done.
It's a loss for the country because tourists come to see animals like the giraffe.
We shouldn't let them disappear for the sake of our children and future generations.
Poaching giraffes is illegal in Tanzania, but despite government efforts, they are still killed for their hide, meat, bones, and tails. And with tourism contributing to nearly a fifth of the GDP, the loss of giraffes could seriously impact Tanzania's economy. Since Tanzania's independence in the 60s, the giraffe has become the country's national symbol. You can see it almost everywhere, from business logos to banknotes and beyond. But with a situation so critical, like many African countries, Tanzania is trying to stop the demise of an animal that is so deeply loved. Daniel Kijo, CGTN, Dar es Salaam.
We go to South Africa now, where the international music icon and Ladysmith Black Mambazo founder Joseph Shabalala has been laid to rest in his hometown of Ladysmith in KwaZulu-Natal province. The revered musician was accorded a special official funeral by President Cyril Ramaphosa. The government will also spearhead an academy in his honor. The music legend died at the age of 78 after a long illness. CGTN's Yolisa Njamela has more.
To illustrate the level of respect accorded to Joseph Shabalala, President Cyril Ramaphosa ordered that all national flags be flown at half-mast at all flag stations around the country. Shabalala's send-off was more of a celebration of the life of the much-respected isicathamiya musician. Even the country's #1 citizen, President Cyril Ramaphosa, simply couldn't resist. A massive crowd gathered to bid farewell and pay their last respects to this music icon. Other eminent persons attended the funeral. President Cyril Ramaphosa delivered the eulogy.
Baba Shabalala's life is instructive in many ways. He was not formally trained in music. He learned by listening to others from other genres and from his own mistakes. He championed pride in culture and language and indigenous music at a time when our cultures were being degraded and denigrated by our oppressors.
Speaker after speaker, including close family members, spoke fondly about the much-loved son of the soil.
He taught us respect, love, and never giving up on your dreams. We will never forget, and we will forever be grateful for his life.
He was always immensely proud that the world loved him after realizing he was celebrated in his hometown, his continent. Otherwise, the world would have never known of the Ladysmith Black Mambazo.
It was the Ladysmith Black Mambazo's U.S. manager's speech that brought back the reality of this occasion as he delivered an emotionally charged farewell speech.
I just want to celebrate my friend. I spent 30 years of my life with this man. He trusted me with his life, his family's life, and his children. And it's been an honor and it's been a blessing. And I will continue to live my life as you'd want.
Shabalala is survived by his wife, Kamaduna, 4 siblings, 7 children, as well as grand and great-grandchildren. Yolisa Njamela for CGTN in Durban, South Africa.
Well, over the past several decades, African women have marched into male-dominated industries such as medicine, law, and finance. African men, meanwhile, have been less willing to get into what society dubs as women's jobs. But today, we take up the story of a Mozambican hairdresser who's pressing to keep Afro love alive.
The hair and beauty industry is widely viewed as a female occupation. While this is in part true, the number of men shaping the industry has been on the rise over the years. Kadino Chipanga is a great example. Roughly 2 decades ago, the Mozambican decided to become a hairdresser. But it wasn't all easy, since the art is often seen as a taboo in his country.
The idea was to create a salon whose focus was to tend on natural hair at the time when no one cared about it anymore.
The hair master, as he is popularly known as, focuses mainly on dreadlocks. Chipanga's goal is to inspire people with chemically relaxed hair to join the trend.
I started this hairstyle of dreadlocks because of Carapina salon. I think other neighborhoods around here need to have a Rastafarian salon. Chipanga should open salons in other places.
Dreadlocks or locks are worn for various reasons. They are particularly associated with the Rastafarian movement. However, some African communities here in Mozambique have been slow to embrace that culture.
It's true, in old times when we saw a person with dreads, we thought they were strange. They looked like strange people to us. But after time, we realized that they were normal people like us, and now we also make dreadlocks.
Chipanga owns 3 salons in the capital, Maputo. He's also the owner of a range of hair products, including this shampoo, made from a plant called the devil's thorn.
This product is used at the salon and by many people. We have a distributor here in Maputo called Mozambique Trade. So, from here, the products are taken to supermarkets, gift shops, and other hair salons. The products are also available in provinces. We slowly want to spread into the international market.
Today, there are thousands of men working as hairdressers across the globe in the quest to make an impact. But for Chipanga, all that's evident for him is to become the best he can be. Uchiro Koronkwo, CGTN.
His sport news is coming up after the break. Here's a highlight. Team Rwanda all set to reclaim the title as Tour de Rwanda starts in Kigali.
How would you create your legend? On the fields, on the tracks, in the arenas of Africa. Were you born to be a player? Could